Hi, Dr. Woodland here. Do you know that you've been lied to about your sleep? Well, stick around and let's become more aware together. Now, I know this is a pretty bold claim, but it's really true, but maybe not in the way that you're thinking. There likely wasn't one person, one entity, one company trying to sell you something that lied to you. It's more insidious than that. It's more like our culture around sleep has lied to you. There are actually several ways that this has occurred, but I'm going to focus just on one today, and that's in the development of negative sleep thoughts, or NSTs. So, what are NSTs? Well, negative sleep thoughts, or NSTs, are defined as any thoughts or beliefs we hold about sleep, bed, bedtime, or even nighttime that ultimately lead us to staying awake. While an NST can quite literally be any thought, they tend to gather under three general categories. Number one, the effects of insomnia on health and daytime functioning. Number two, estimates of sleep. And number three, the mood-sleep connection. So let's talk about those. So first we have the effects of insomnia on daytime functioning. I want to share with you some facts about sleep that are based in the research. Now, did you know, one, that we don't need 8 hours of sleep? Two, did you know that research shows that those who sleep 7 hours live longer than those who sleep 9 hours a night? Third, did you know that studies have also shown that health risk is higher when you have a varied sleep schedule than if you just have sleep loss? Another interesting one here is that moderate sleep loss does not impact daytime performance. Did you know that? Did you know that typically we only need 5.5 hours of sleep to maintain said daytime performance? Did you know that stress has a bigger impact on your health than insomnia? And finally, did you know that there's a difference between sleep deprivation and insomnia? Sleep deprivation has to do with sleep loss. You're losing a lot of that sleep, whereas insomnia is simply just the act of having trouble falling asleep and staying asleep, where sleep deprivation is you don't have the opportunity to sleep. All of this is to say that my patients tend to give too much credit for their health issues to insomnia itself. The next area where we tend to employ negative sleep thoughts is in our estimates of sleep. I get a lot of patients who say, well, I just don't sleep. Maybe you've been there too. Truth is, if you didn't sleep, you'd actually be dead. This is to say that we often grossly underestimate the sleep that we do get, and studies showing that we do so by about an hour a night. Now, why is this the case? Well, a really big culprit has to do with the depth of the sleep we're getting. Typically, when in lighter sleep, we can perceive that we've been awake. A couple of surefire ways to know whether you have been awake or whether you've been asleep is, first of all, ask a bed partner maybe who may have been awake. Well, was I asleep? I know for me, oftentimes I fall asleep in front of the TV and then my wife says, hey, Sean, you've been sleeping. Go ahead and go to bed, right? And then the second way that you might consider figuring out whether you've actually been asleep is when you do wake up, notice the clock. Notice the passage of time. If you look at the clock and you see that the time maybe doesn't fit your perception of how long it's actually been, you're more than likely have been asleep. Some food for thought. The final area where we tend to employ NSTs is in our understanding of the mood-sleep connection. Now, this is another case, perhaps, of giving more credit to sleep than it deserves, but maybe there's some important nuances here that we can check in on. So first, insomnia does cause daytime mood dysregulation. That's an important piece. But the worst case scenario is that if you have a bad night, your mood will be more vulnerable during the day. But it doesn't necessarily have to be the case, because a lot of it has to do with how we've praised the previous night. If we're like, for example, oh man, last night was horrible, I don't know what's going to happen, it's more likely that that's going to impact our daytime mood. Okay. The next thing that's important to note is studies show that joyous sleep loss, what I like to call joyous sleep loss, for example, staying up late for a wedding, or going to see your favorite sports team, or maybe the premiere of that movie you've been looking forward to all year, right? When we have that type of sleep loss related to fun things, it typically does not impact daytime mood. How about that? Also, I want to mention, it's important to note that there are other things besides sleep that can impact our daytime mood. So including, sure, the amount of sleep that we get, but also our negative sleep thoughts in reaction to that sleep loss. Okay, so that's important to note as well. What are we to do about this information? We can start to challenge our negative sleep thoughts with positive sleep thoughts. So when you find yourself stuck, for example, worrying about your sleep, you can replace it with truth about sleep itself. So how does that work? How do you do that? In my experience with my patients, the best way to challenge NSTs is to write down the thoughts you're having about sleep. So write down those NSTs that keep you awake. Then, one by one, see if you can, on paper as well, counter with a positive sleep thought, or a PST. Let's look at an example for this. So, for example, if you're worried that you're not going to get enough sleep, you can remind yourself that as long as you get your core sleep, about 5.5 hours, your day is not likely to go as poorly as you fear. I hope that this has helped you to better understand the myths about sleep that we hold, and I hope that you have a great day.